Shadow work, do this for 30 days, and you will be invulnerable. Imagine that everything you consider yourself to be is an illusion, a mask that you wear for others and yourself, and you feel that somewhere inside there is a version of you hidden that is not afraid of anything, that has no doubts, and the question is, how far are you willing to go to free it? Because today we will do it with you. Now imagine for a moment that the difficulties that you are facing right now, those patterns that you cannot break, and the potential that you feel comes down to one thing: learn to free a shadow essence. And if you are ready to face this part of yourself right today, watch the video until the very end. It will be waiting for you there. Carl Jung discovered that a person has a persona that you show the world, a version of you that fits in and plays by the rules of society, like an actor who puts on a suit every morning and goes on stage to play a role created for him by others. What if I told you that behind this mask there is something much more powerful, something that we have been avoiding all our lives, the part of you that holds everything, your hidden fears, desires, and untapped potential, and it's not just the dark side that you were told to ignore, it's the key to everything you've ever sought and wanted to understand. How our shadow side really works, you need to realize. Our mind is more than just the thoughts that run through our heads. There is a part of it that we are aware of. These are our explicit thoughts, decisions, actions. Our conscious mind, it only makes up a small part, about 5%. Of the whole picture, the remaining 95% are hidden deep down. This is our subconscious mind. In it, all our untapped potential is hidden, but all our traumas lie. They're complexes, desires that we once rejected or drove deep into ourselves in order to survive in this world full of other people's expectations. And this is what happens if you, for example, you feel inferior. Your subconscious seeks to balance this internal deficit. It does this through images. For example, in a dream, you can see yourself with a famous person or imagine yourself as a superhero. The same mechanism works. When you watch movies, it seems to you that you choose genres and heroes just for fun, but in reality, your shadow side is drawn to characters that reflect your hidden, suppressed qualities. You can empathize with the antihero, admire their strength or audacity, seeing in them what you yourself are afraid to show, or, on the contrary, you can be captivated by stories about great feats and valor. When internally you feel a lack of confidence or significance, your subconscious seems to be looking for a balance, helping you to contact what remains in the shadows, and films become a channel through which it tries to convey to you forgotten or rejected traits. But the most interesting thing is that most people don't even notice how the unconscious affects their lives. It acts from the shadows, from there where your shadow self lives, a powerful but rejected part of yourself, hidden behind a wall that you yourself built, trying to adapt to someone else's rules of this life. And to free it, to see your strength, you must first understand how exactly this wall was built. Imagine that you are at a crossroads before you have a choice to work in a stable, respected position with a good salary, for example, in a large company, or to do something that you are truly inspired, say, to open your own business or devote yourself to creativity. But then the voices of loved ones turn on and say that a secure job is a guarantee of the future, and all this creativity of yours is just a hobby. Over time, you begin to agree with them, and now the internal compass loses its mood. Every reasonable decision taken puts dreams aside. Anxiety grows, and life begins to seem like a set of obligations for which there is no place for your true desires. More and more decisions are built around other people's ideas about the right path, and you are getting further and further from your true self. And over time, rejected options accumulate and combine into a cluster of unaccepted decisions, and choosing something from this cluster becomes almost it is possible, even if this option could actually reveal in you those parts of your personality that are incredibly powerful and deeply transformative by nature. Over time, more and more rejected alternatives form your personal cemetery. Suppressed talents, there is so many negative emotions that our subconscious, in order to cope with this, resorts to the trick of walling up unrealized potential. In this case, a person will feel that his life seems to have frozen, Obsessive thoughts appear that are becoming more and more difficult to control with each passing year, and a feeling will grow inside that something important has been missed, that potential has not been realized, and his strength is spent on trying to stay afloat in a whirlpool of problems. And this is not just another brilliant personal growth tactic or a clickbait video about personal development. This is the missing element that, if implemented correctly, will open up a completely new level of success that, as once, then was unavailable to you. And let's begin. The fact is that we can suppress that shadow side in our unconscious for a very long time until one day it explodes and we lose control of ourselves. Like, for example, with this woman who stuffed a kitten into a trash can, although before that she stroked and fed him, showing love and her care. I would like to prevent this is for you. So I suggest you find out where the roots grow. And let's start with why there is a huge shadow potential in each of you. The fact is that your soul, as an architect, used your potentials as blueprints to build you as a holistic, complex personality. And when we are faced with work, passion, hobbies that activate these personalities, you feel a surge of strength, energy, the desire to create. This is what your soul came to this earth for. It created your body for a specific task and for a specific purpose. For example, I had a bow shooting coach and he once said hundreds of students come to me, but there are those who take a bow for the first time and shoot with perfect technique as if an archer lives in them with many years of experience. And these people, they seem to connect to the memory of their past lives, to their true path. This is the manifestation of potential, and your path, it already exists. It is waiting for you to take the first step towards. And many of you may object, I know myself and I know what I want from life. But then answer why, when you are going to take a step forward, are confident that you know yourself, that you see your potential, and you understand where you want to move. Something inside seems to slow down. There are feelings that it is better to wait to prepare. Even better to read a couple more books to pick up with your constant SBUME. You convince yourself that later the right moment will come, that a few more days or weeks will make this path easier, but it passes day after day, and the feeling of missed opportunities only intensifies. And eventually the very dream that you wanted to come seems to go away, further and further, leaving behind a feeling of anxiety and uncertainty. This is your inner a wall built of fears and doubts that does not allow you to move towards the goal, forcing you to put off until tomorrow what is important for you already today. And many of us face difficulties in achieving goals because these goals, firstly, may turn out to be imposed. Think about it. It happens that you stubbornly go to something, but at the same time, feel internal resistance, and every step is given with difficulty. Perhaps the fact is that this goal is simply not yours. We are taught that the right path is to first get a good education, find a stable job, and devote it a decade so that then, having retired, you can finally start living. And this scenario is as if programmed in our heads, and many follow it without thinking. They do not even understand whether it really suits them or not. For most of us, to be yourself, following your true path, is a frightening prospect because it requires abandoning the usual scenario and going for what really resonates inside. As Tim Grover said in his book, Relentless, to get what you really want, you first must be who you really are. After thinking about imposed goals and how we often lie following other people's scenarios, a logical question arises. If the goals are not mine, if I understand this and still want to change my life, then why is it so difficult for him to just decide and make an effort to change everything? And here you can object to me, and why I can't just take and by force of will get rid of debts, find the strength to move from the spot and never doubt myself again, and just go through the breach. And you are quite fair. You can even ask yourself the question, why I need these realizations of working through the practice at all. Maybe everything is really simpler. Maybe all this psychology is superfluous, and only discipline, determination, and constant efforts are enough to remove all barriers and break this wall. If everything were so simple, then we would have long ago recognized true free will. But here is an unexpected fact for you: it may not exist at all, and I can now assure you of this. For example, if you look at the research of 2008, they clearly show scientists from the Max Planck Institute from Germany conducted an experiment. With functional magnetic resonance imaging, fMRI participants had to choose between two buttons left and right and press one of them at a random moment, noting when they realized their intention. However, fMRI was already recorded 15 seconds before the conscious decision before the person himself realized his intention to press a certain button, and this shocking the conclusion calls into question the very idea of free will. Our decisions that seem conscious to us are formed in the unconscious long before we become aware of them. The unconscious as a complex knot and dispel create scenarios that control our actions and decisions. And now we come to something even more stunning. Only the observer it records what has already been formed in the depths of the subconscious, what we call fate. It's not something mystical, it's the script that is written in your subconscious, and the good news is that this script can be rewritten. Subconscious, despite all its limitations, it has amazing a plasticity. With certain efforts and elaboration, we can literally reconfigure it, opening a new path to the new reality, and today, we will specifically do this. Let's figure it out. Imagine a wall in your subconscious. On one side of it is your usual life, the one in which you feel that you cannot fully reveal yourself. This world where worries about the future have become part of the daily routine, where financial instability and constant obligations exhausting all your strength. This is the life that you know, with are all its limitations, but at the same time, it is the zone of the usual. And on the other side of this wall is the reality that you see in your dreams before going to bed, where you are confident in yourself, live in financial abundance, surrounded by harmonious relationships, and full of vital energy. And here you feel powerful, alive, realize your potential 100%. But for the subconscious, this new world is a potential threat. Even if the world is uncomfortable for you and causes suffering for the subconscious, it remains familiar and therefore safe. You can ask how. Now it is possible, Taryn, why the familiar world seems better to my subconscious. If I have long wanted changes and dreamed about it. To understand this paradox, let's imagine, have you ever gone to a place where you just feel uncomfortable or uneasy without even understanding why this is happening? For example, imagine that you came to a luxury store in a shopping center. People sometimes look at such places and wonder what's inside, but do not dare to go there. And here is a person whose wall is burning off from him. The world of wealth, for example, consists of programs like rich is evil. Money spoils the soul. It is better for the poor, but honest. Having stepped over the threshold of a very expensive elite store, suddenly feels a strange pressure. The heart begins to beat faster, palms sweat, and a chew arises. What if I look at the price tags now? The sellers will consider me a beggar. And at that moment, the wall in the subconscious that we talked about becomes noticeable. But let's deepen with the same programs that are on the character and willpower enters this store, it would seem confidently, without a hint of anxiety, but we know what is actually going on in their heads. They hide their internal struggle. They fight the same programs and resistance as everyone else. This expensive store is their new world. It is the embodiment of their dreams. And what is happening? None of them will stay in this place for long. Why? Yes, because this moment when a person tries by willpower to break through this wall of the very system of programs and restrictions that controls his life and keeps him in the old, stable, safe reality. It is like when you decide to start a new life, for example, with a regular training, and on the first day, you are full of strength and enthusiasm. You collect your sports uniform. A plan is thought out, and with inspiration you go to the gym. But after a week, when the first wave of motivation subsides, it becomes increasingly difficult for you to continue again. The usual feeling arises that today it is better to rest and put off training until tomorrow. Everything. The fact is that this is a very ancient mechanism in our brain that used to serve as the basis for our survival, and now it serves as the main obstacle to our freedom and realization. And this is how it works. Our